Hi friends, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, my name is Ashley, and different background today because we're at my computer and I thought I would go ahead and tier rank all of my 2024 reads. I've always wanted to do one of these tier ranking videos, but I've never really had enough of a specific niche of books to do, but I figured this was a perfect opportunity. Some books, but half of them are books I read to my youngest daughter. So I left them all in here just so that you can see in comparison to what I did read how many were read for her, but I have made its own category for her books. So I am going to attempt to do the screen and screen here so that you can see both me and the computer screen. So hopefully this will work out. On the ranking, I have, 7 different categories. I have standout stars. These would be some of my all-time favorite books. I don't even know if there will be any books that get moved into this category. No, I know there should be at least one. So we'll see if there's any more, but I don't think so. And then we have loved, and these are books that I just really love. These are really going to be like my 5-star reads and books that I really loved and will definitely be continuing on if it's a series. Then I have good books, and those are probably about like my 4-star reads. Probably will be continuing in those series at some point. Then we have fine, literally, and those are just middle of the road, probably about my 3-star books. And these are ones that, like, if it was part of a series, like maybe I'll continue it if I get bored or if the opportunity arises. Sometimes I get a hankering and do something out of the ordinary, and that might be continuing one of these series. Then I have meh, not really, and those are my 2-star books where I'm like, I didn't really like it, but I did finish it. So then I have nope, not for me, not even a little bit. And these would be 1-star books, which I do not dole out 1 stars very often, and usually will end up DNFing something. So again, I don't know if there will be anything in here or not, but we will see. And then the last category, of course, is books for my daughter, Shelby. So any books that I read out loud to her or any of my other kids, if there are some, they'll be put in this category here. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so you can see a lot of kids books, and especially at the beginning of the year through the middle of the year, I read a lot of books to her compared to books for myself. I went through a very massive reading slump. So we have a lot of Magic Treehouse books. She really likes those, so much so that I had to tell her I wouldn't read Magic Treehouse anymore. All right, then we have There's a Boy in the Girl's Bathroom, and I read that one for myself. It was a reread. I read it a few times, and every time I think, oh man, I used to love this book, and I reread it, and I'm like, oh, it wasn't as good as I remember. And it's probably fine. When I'm going through these books, I have not looked at their ratings that I gave them at the time, so I'm just going off what I remember and how I feel about them. So we have some more Magic Treehouse books. Then we have The Sleepaway Girls, which I've had on my shelf for quite a while, and I'm going to put that one in meh, not really. It was fine, but it's kind of like in between these two, but I'm going to put it in the meh, not really, because the girls were like 12, but then they kind of sounded pretty juvenile, but then they were doing things that were more for older teens. I felt like there was just some discrepancy there. So it was all right. All right. Asylum Lake. Again, I am putting this in the meh, not really, because if this is the one I'm thinking of, it just, nothing happened, and it was really confusing, and then we didn't get any answers. It was not that great. Right, Magic Tree House, Babysitter's Little Sister books. I used to love those as a kid, and my daughter we have read the first 3. And then we have The Octopus. This is one of the Lighthouse family series books, which we really enjoy. Can't remember I don't think that one was a reread. I think that's number 5 in the series, and she really likes those. Some more Magic Treehouse books. I think we've read every one that we own now. Then we have this one called Jock's Island. I don't know where this came from, but she brought it to me one day and wanted me to read it, so I did. Goosebumps, book number 1. I used to love Goosebumps when I was a kid, and we read that one. Magic Treehouse, another Babysitter's Little Sister. Let's get through all these. Okay. Then we have Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. And that one is going up. Favorite books of all time. That one is one of my top books in the Harry Potter series. So that was going to go in the top tier. And then we have a Sophie Mouse book that we read. She has the first 8 books, I think, in this series, and it's a cute little series, and we really like to read those. Then we have The Kitten Nobody Wanted. That one was really cute. Another Sophie Mouse, Squishy McFluff. This is a series that my oldest read when she was younger, and these are written by a British woman, and so that's where we kind of found them, was in England, and my daughter loved these books, and she actually wrote to the author and got a letter back and like some stickers and stuff, which was really cool. We had like 5 of those. Another Magic Treehouse. We have book 2, Chamber of Secrets, Harry Potter, going up in the loved. All right, then we have Babysitter Little Sister, Squishy McFluff, another Harry Potter book. I am doing a Harry Potter reread. It started in September, I think, September or October. And so we're supposed to be having just finished book 5, but I am still in the middle of book 4. So that's all the Harry Potter books that are going to be on this list for last year. More Magic Tree House and Sophie Mouse books. All right, The Guest List. I'm debating if I want it in the meh, not really, or fine, literally. I don't know. I'm gonna put it in the fine, literally category, but it's kind of really, again, in between these two. I wouldn't say meh. It was fine, but I really didn't enjoy the characters all that much. So the next one is Tales from the Cafe, which I feel like I should have the first one, which is Before the Coffee Gets Cold. I really liked this book, and the first one and the second one, and they're just like these little stories about this cafe, and there's not a whole lot of sequence throughout the stories, but you see some of the same characters, and I just really like those. Saltwater Secrets, I really liked this. I think this is either middle grade or a lower YA book, and it's about 2 sisters, I believe, that only see each other like once a year, and I really liked that. So that was good. Then we have The Locked Door by Frida McFadden, and this was my very first Frida McFadden book. I'm actually going to put this one up and loved it because I rated it 5 stars. I do remember that, and I just thought it was like really good. So 5 stars, loved it. The rest of hers will probably go more in the good books. Yeah, so here's some more Magic Tree House. Let's see. All right, Tom Lake. This one was just fine. I kind of picked this one up on audio on a whim and didn't really know what it was. I just knew I was reading. I had heard a lot about it, and so I picked it up and I read it, and it was fine. Nothing too special. The Clinic. This is another one where I'm like, does it go in the meh or does it go in the fine? I'm going to put it in meh because I didn't like it. I don't even have a real reason why that I can remember, but yeah. All right, then we have The Vacancy in Room 10. This was another one that I just happened across on audio on Libby or something and picked up. And this one is, you know, between good books and fine literally. Like, which one would I put it in? I'm going to leave it in the good books. It was a pretty good one. It was a fast read. We have Emily Henry's A Funny Story. That one was fine. Like, I enjoyed it at the time. I remember some of it, but I didn't find it amazing or anything like that. The next one we have is The Night the River Wept. This was another random audio pickup, and I do not remember a thing except that it was fine. So I'm going to put that one right there, and fine, literally. All right, then we have The Night Librarian. This is a graphic novel, and it's more of a middle grade graphic novel. I just happened to pick it up at the library, and it was actually pretty good. I'm not usually a big fan of graphic novels, but I did like that one, and I will probably continue it if my library gets it. So far, they have not gotten the second book. So next, my daughter and I read, The Best Christmas Pageant Ever. This one I did read with my daughter, but it was kind of like I picked it out and I kind of made her let me read it to her, and I had never read it before unless maybe like way back in like lower elementary school. So I'm going to count it for myself, and I feel like that one was pretty good. Like, I knew the story vaguely, and it was a cute book. And then we watched the movie. That was fun. Cruel Winter with You by Ali Hazelwood was a short audio. There's like a series of like 5 audios that were for Christmas, and I didn't get to the rest of them, but this one I did listen to, and it was fine. I didn't really care for it, but it was short, easy to get through, so it was fine. Here's another one for my daughter. Remarkably Bright Creatures. This is the one that I thought of that needs to go all the way to the very top. Standout stars, all-time favorites. This is now one of my all-time favorite books. I loved it so much. I really want to reread it this year and like annotate my book and everything. So that's the one I was talking about earlier. I don't know if there's going to be any more. So, All the Dangerous Things. I don't remember anything about this, which is typical of any Stacey Willingham books that I tend to read, but I remember them being good, but I can't tell you why. And I like so much so that I feel like it was longer than last year that I read it, but I do remember it being good. All right, here's another Frida McFadden book. And I know this one was in a hotel or like an Airbnb or something, and it was good. I think those are really good for like very quick reads for me. All right, then we have You Shouldn't Have Come Here. This is another one that I feel like I read so long ago that it probably wasn't even last year, but it was at the very beginning, and it was fine. It had some twists I didn't really expect, and so that was good. Next we have The Ghosts of Beatrice Bird, and this one was not what I was expecting, but it ended up being really good. I just kind of randomly found this one at my base library and picked it up and really enjoyed it. And then we have Summer Romance by Annabelle Monaghan, which she seems to write a lot of summer-themed romances. And I actually really enjoyed this. I know I only rated it like 4 stars, but I really liked it. And I'm like, maybe I should up the rating. I rated it 4 stars, but I did really enjoy that one. I mean, I don't know. It's not like an all-time favorite, so maybe it should be and like loved it. And then Saint Anything. I don't really remember much about this one either, but I remember loving that book. I don't know, that might be on one of my 5-star reads. I can't remember, but I do remember loving that book. All right, There's another Squishy McFluff. We have In Between. This one is I can't remember if it's middle grade or YA, but it's a book and verse, and it's a type of memoir, and I didn't really care for it. It was good until it wasn't, and there was no real reason for it. It was just kind of boring, and I wasn't really satisfied with the ending, which of course it's a memoir, so it's about someone's life, but I just was like, meh, what was the point really in writing this? Like, there was nothing really significant. All right, then we have What the Dead Wine. This was another early book. I can't remember what it was about, but I mean, I'm assuming it was fine. So yeah, I don't know. And see, the lake house, I get the lake house and Asylum Lake mixed up in my memories. I don't know which one is which. One of them takes place, I think it's Asylum Lake, where there used to be an old asylum that burnt down. But when I look at this one, that's what I think of. I don't remember what this one is about. So I'm going to put it here too, because I do remember it vaguely kind of being about the same as far as enjoyment level. All right. Then we have The Third Shift Society, which is another graphic novel. And I don't know. This is the one I was thinking that had the sequel. See, and again, I have these two in my memories mixed up, because The Night Librarian is very similar to this, I think. And now I'm like, which one was which? I can't remember, but I do remember enjoying both of them. And I think I really liked The Night Librarian. I was wishing for a sequel, and maybe there will be someday. And The Third Shift Society, I was like, I mean, I think this one was probably actually more in the fine category. And I was like, if they get it, the second one in the series, I'll read it. Here's Before the Coffee Gets Cold. I really liked that one. Second one was more of the same. So it kind of just felt like the same book, but with different stories. But the first one, I actually really, really enjoyed. All right. So this one, If You Had Been With Me, I'm putting that one up in top tier. So good. I actually also received the special edition for Christmas of this book. So there's another one up in the top tier. Premonition at Wither's Farm by Jamie Jo Wright. Loved that book. It was very good. An Intrigue of Witches, I'm going to put in good books. I know there's supposed to be another one coming out. I don't know when it will. And by the time my library gets it, I'm probably going to forget what happened, because I'm already starting to. So anyways, next book is A Touch of Darkness. And this one is kind of like a fantasy romance, I guess it would be considered, but with Greek mythology. And I was like, this is not going to be for me. I'm not even going to try it. But some in real life friends talked me into it, and I actually did enjoy it. It was pretty good. So I got the next book to continue the series. Okay, so I've been sitting here chatting away and organizing books, and it wasn't recording. So I'm gonna go through quickly and just kind of point out some that I think I remember putting in that when I thought I was recording, and it really wasn't. I think I had told you guys about If You Had Been With Me. I put Give Me a Sign in loved, and was saying that I think this is a really good representation of the deaf community and how a person might struggle identifying with being deaf and identifying with being hearing when they're not either one of those, but they're actually hard of hearing, and some of the struggles. And then I have Growing Together here as well, and that was a book study that we did at church in Sunday school, and it's like a mentoring, how to mentor and how to be mentored type of nonfiction, and that was really good. Down here I put The God of the Woods, which is in good books, will probably continue. I thought that was good in but also a bit underwhelming because it doesn't really hold up to like the best of the year or anything for mysteries. Then we have Orbiting Jupiter, and that was a book that one of my daughters had chosen to read for school, and I've never read it, so I read it to know what she was reading and be able to discuss it with her, and that was really good. But I had to suspend my belief just a little bit on how he was behaving, but still good. And then we have One by One by Frida McFadden. I don't remember this book at all, but I do know that almost all Frida McFadden books I did enjoy, so, and one up here. But I also get confused with Ruth Ware's books, so we have One by One by Ruth Ware in the fine literary category. And that's because I don't really remember a whole lot, but it was my first Ruth Ware book, and I believe this is the one that was like avalanche type of story, and it was just fine. And then we have After the Plague, which is a 3 ebook compilation that I got as an e-arc years ago. And I was saying it was right at 2020, or it was right before this came out, but it totally gave me 2020 vibes. I don't remember if I had talked about First Light Winds or not. That one was just fine. I wasn't really enjoying that one. And then we have After the Fire, and I did not like that one either. That one was kind of frustrating and annoying, and those two are in the meh, not really category. And then we have The Last in the nope, not for me. This book I really did not like. It was a post-apocalyptic themed situation, but I just thought it was dumb because in the end you find out that the people are holed up in this hotel thinking the world ended when it really didn't, and nobody bothered to tell them or something like that, and it was just dumb. I did put a couple more down here, and we have just a few more left to go. We have an Apple book that I read to my daughter, and then we have Finding Balance. This was another e-arc that I've had sitting on NetGalley for years, and it's because it's actually book 2 in a series. I finally read it because somebody said, you know, at some point that it didn't really matter if you hadn't read the first one, so I finally read it, got that off of there, and it was fine. And then we have Educated, which I did really enjoy. I think I actually rated it 5 stars, but I'm going to put it in the good books. It was one of the first nonfiction books that I read last year, I think, and kind of opened the door to me actually wanting to read more nonfiction and enjoying to read nonfiction. So I'm really hoping to read some more this year. I really did enjoy that book. So then we have Every Summer After by Carly Fortune, which I'm going to move that up actually. I loved this book. I thought it was really good. So I hope the rest of her books are just as good. I am kind of nervous about her second book. And then we have this one called Spell for Trouble, which this is the same author as An Intrigue for Witches. And that's why I picked it up on an ebook to read, and it was fine. It has, you can probably hear my husband laughing in the background, but it has a second book that I will probably continue at some point. So that's the last book. So you can see down here all the books I read to my daughter, and these are just the new books. I'm sure I read some of these Magic Treehouse books and some of the Sophie Mouse books and the Squishy McFluff books more than one time last year. I've had to tell her that, you know, if I'm going to read to her, it needs to be something that I haven't read before, because I've gotten so bored of reading Magic Treehouse. She is 8, going to be 9, and I'm hoping she'll start enjoying reading soon, but we shall see. But then that's all the ones that I read for myself. And so actually I did pretty good. There was a good bit in fine, but there is even more in good, and there was a good handful in loved, as well as a few standouts, and only a few that weren't so great or I really didn't like. So I'm pretty happy with that. And this looks like I had a pretty good reading year. I'm trying to remember what my overall average was. I want to say it was like a 3.7. So looking at this, I feel like it should have been higher, but then again, these can bring my rating down. So anyways, that's all I have for you today, and I hope you enjoyed. Please let me know in the comments down below what your favorite book was last year, or if you enjoyed any of these other books, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.